Hello and welcome back to Play the Game HQ. I'm Daniel and this is Gulpax's Secret, the new 7-campaign adventure expansion for role player adventures. It is a standalone campaign, but it does require the base game to play. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the story for this because if you're going to play this, you're going to want to explore that and experience it on your own. So we're not going to have many spoilers, but just enough to let you know kind of what you're going to experience in this game. Now, we have a full review and kind of parents review for Role Player Adventures because we recently played through this entire campaign with our kids who are 9 and 13 and go through a few things in there that you're going to want to know if you do want to play this with your kids. We're also working on a full how to play and parents guide that will be not just a review, but a full how to play video and walk you through everything you need to know to play Role Player Adventures. Now, if you're not familiar with this game at all, it is a role-playing game set in the world of Role Player from Thunderworks Games. Now, it is a little unique on the role-playing side in that it doesn't require a DM or a GM. Everyone who is playing the game. There's not one person leading it and everyone else playing. And all of the things that you're trying to do are done rather than building up skills and doing skill checks with like a D20 and adding your values to it. You're going to be rolling dice and trying to match them to different things that you need for combat and for skill checks. So again, we cover all of that on our other videos on this game, but for this one, I really want to talk about what is new in Gulpax's Secret. Gulpax is set during the time of cartographers when Queen Gimnax is sending out the cartographers into the world of Ulos to map the world and is trying to establish the kingdom of Nalos. And that is going to create some conflict because not everyone wants to be united under the same banner. Now, we did not get to explore that much in what we saw in this game. This is a 7-campaign game. We were sent the first 2 adventures and really wish we were sent all 7 because we really enjoyed the storytelling. The storytelling is on par with the storytelling in Role Player Adventures, which is incredibly deep and fun and well crafted. It plays the same way. You have a story, you have battles and skill checks and all the things like that. But there are some new things in this that made it really fresh and new, unique, and not just another campaign that uses all the same stuff and is just a different story. So in this game, everyone is going to build a character the same way as you do in Role Player Adventures. But in this game, you are adding professions. That is one of the key new elements to this game is professions. So each player is going to choose a profession. There are quite a few in the book. I was the gambler, Peyton was the miner, Allison was the blacksmith, and Jared was the inventor. So the professions are a really unique element that was added to this game that I really enjoyed because it adds individual choices where Role Player Adventures is really, if you play with more than one player, you're adding cards and you're adding voices to kind of the hive mind, but it is really written from the perspective of one person or one group of people who are acting as a whole. So by adding the professions to Role Player Adventures into Gulpax's Secret, it really adds in a unique element where people are put in the position to make individual choices that are going to affect the group. So when you choose your profession, you're going to read a section from the Adventure 1 booklet that is going to describe your situation, describe your profession, and really describe, for the most part, a pretty sticky situation that you as an individual are in. And again, everyone is going to choose a profession and have a different profession and therefore have a different backstory. So I chose the gambler. The gambler is a risk taker. And I, as the gambler, have some bets that have gone south and I owe people money. That money is going to have to be paid eventually, I assume. Again, we only played the first 2 adventures and my debts have not come due yet, but I know they're coming soon, and I assume those debts will need to be paid from our common gold. That is the first situation that comes into play, is my unique situation is impacting what the whole group needs to do because I have a debt to pay, which might mean that we buy fewer cards. It also creates unique situations where individuals are making decisions that are their unique decisions to make, but do have an impact. So, for example, the gambler in the first story gets into a situation where he wants to roll some dice and needs something to bet. So I'm given the option to wager this golden ticket that we came about somehow. I'll let you learn that in the story yourself. But we have this golden ticket and the gambler wants to roll some dice. So I am put in a position to choose. I'm going to roll the dice. If I get a certain number, then I'm going to win some money. If I don't, then I'm going to lose this ticket and then the party doesn't have the ticket. So we might need this ticket. But as the gambler, I was feeling risky. I was feeling confident. So I chose to roll the dice and I lost the ticket because I rolled poorly. Now, that was my decision to make, and it lays out in the storytelling that that individual character needs to make that decision. And it's really cool that it's written in a way, and it really sets up the tone in those encounters that this is one person's decision to make. So Jared was the inventor, and it put him in a position to become an apprentice, to decide if that's something that he wanted to do. And I assume that that will pay off later in the story, that he will have decisions to be made based on accepting or declining that apprenticeship. But when you choose your profession, you're going to add it to the professional titles. And just as you play through the game, you're going to add different things to your professional titles. Now, in addition to those titles, you're also going to have abilities that are unique to each profession that are going to help you along the way. So I have my gambler card. It stays here next to my player board. And this doesn't this doesn't count as a card played. This is just an ability that I can use at the start of each adventure or whenever you spend 0 stamina during the build the dice pool step. So if I can get into a skill check or a combat without spending any stamina, I place a stamina on this card. Then I can spend 1 stamina from this card. I choose a number 1 through 5 and roll a die from the bag. If the result is higher than the number, so I choose a 1 and I roll a dice, and I need to get higher than a 1. If I want to feel really risky, I can choose a 5 and hope that I roll a 6. If the result is higher than your number, return stamina from a player's fatigue box equal to your chosen number. So low risk is choosing a 1. I'm most likely going to roll higher than a 1. I get to remove stamina or remove fatigue from a player's box. If someone really needs fatigue removed and they really need it now, I can choose a 5 and hope that I roll a 6. Again, it's a gambler. It's high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. I can also spend 2 stamina from this card to place 2 to 5 cards from my hand into my spent space and roll a die from the bag. If the result is lower than the number placed, gain 1 XP and return the cards to your hand. So I can place up to 5 cards here. I can risk that I'm going to roll a 6 and have all of those cards spent, or I can place a lower number of cards here. I may lose those cards because I need to roll lower than the number that I placed. So if I place 2 cards there, I need to roll a 1, but then I get XP and I bring those cards back into my hand. If I place 5 cards there, there's a really good chance that we're going to get the XP because I just need to roll lower than a 5. But there's the risk that if I don't, that's fairly safe, but if it doesn't go our way, then I'm going to leave all those cards in my spent space. The inventor can spend XP to move a cube around this square and can spend stamina and move a cube around this square and get different abilities from that, get different things that are going to help during combat and skill checks. Peyton's was pretty unique as the miner, so at the beginning of each turn, or after you fail a combat or a skill check, you draw a dice from the bag, you roll it, and you put it on this card. So this is a white 3. During combat or a skill check, you can then take this dice and you can adjust it and then adjust a dice of the same color. So I can take this 3 and reduce it to a 1, and then I can increase the value of a die on the dice pool of the same color. So I can decrease this die by 2 and increase a white die in the dice pool by 2. So it's all these different abilities that are going to be really helpful and beneficial throughout the game that really lean into the type of character that they are. So that is the professions. That is, again, one of the key changes in this game that was really cool and really fun to explore those. And I'm excited to play those throughout the other adventures because I think that character development is going to be really critical and really fun to explore and see how those individual choices affect the group as a whole. Now, the resting is also different in this game. If you have the base Role Player Adventures from the first printing, they have updated the resting rules to make it a little bit more difficult, and they have posted an updated rule set online that you may have found already, but in the expansion in the second printing, the resting is going to be updated. Instead of flipping the rest token, you are now going to, every time you rest, put an XP in this box, in this rest track. And when you get to the end of the rest track, you have to discard a card to reset it. So there's a cost beyond just XP. Now you are going to be losing cards and discarding cards permanently. Not discarding, actually removing from your hand, putting back in the deck a card in order to reset the rest track. There are also, for the legendary mode, there are new penalties to failing skill checks, and there are card limits just things, adjustments made in the game rules to make it more difficult, to make it a little more of a challenge as you play through. One thing that did stand out to us in looking at some of the artwork, so this is Adventure 2, this is the book for Adventures 2, it did feel like it was going to lean into a more horror-centric theme, but so far the gameplay has not played that out. There are elements that are scary, there's zombies, there's a werewolf, but it has not gotten into deep graphic storytelling that was, again, we played it with a 9 and a 13-year-old, and it was nothing that was beyond their capacity to handle. It wasn't overly scary. It wasn't overly graphic. So I don't know how the additional Adventures 3 through 7 are going to be in this, but as far as what we have played, it was relatively tame for where they could have taken it with zombies. And I appreciate that because we have really enjoyed playing this with the whole family. And I am happy that it is staying so far a game that is still family level, even though it's not designed for families. It is accessible and it's not too intense for our whole family to play. So this is Role Player Adventures, Gulpax's Secret. It is coming to Kickstarter soon, or it may already be on Kickstarter, or it may already be in retail by the time you're watching this. Wherever it is, I will leave links below to where you can find it, as well as our other review and our Parents Guide to Role Player Adventures when that is out, which is a full how to play and kind of parents review. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if we missed anything, feel free to leave a comment. I will do my best to answer those questions along the way. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.